What's going on, y'all? I'm Terrence J. It's time for another edition of You Good? Listen, in order to power this episode, I got the Moon Ultralight. When I apply this, oh yeah, gets the light exactly the way I need it to be so that I can be at my best, all right? Let's go. It's time for today's episode. These guys are incredible. This man needs no introduction. One of the biggest Hollywood stars in the world, Idris Elba, and his new artist off of his label, 7Wallace, who's been killing it on the UK scene, and it's time to go global. Welcome Che Lingo to the show. What's happening, gentlemen? Now, Driss, you was listening to playlists. He kept popping up. And you had to link up with him and come down with the team, right? Tell me how you guys connected.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, my label is run by Rachel Prager, and she's like really dug in with the music. She knows whose heart she's listening to everything, and she sent me Shay, and I was like, yo, who is this dude? And I was busting listening to his shit for a little bit, like, and she was like, yo, you know, he's out there, he's doing his numbers, he's got great, like, you know, he's one of these people that, you know, when you meet him, you'll understand why he's a good artist. And I was like, wow, maybe we should see if there's any interest in talking to us, because essentially he would be like, you know, for someone that has their own following, and he was a big signing for me, you know what I'm saying? It's someone that, you know, if I could get him on my label, that'd be a great look for 7Wallace. But also I feel like I could definitely just, you know, maybe work with the kid somehow and just be his partner as he grows, you know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, when we met, it was, you know, the rest is history type thing. The vibe was almost instant. And, you know, I just listening to Shay talk about his positioning as an artist, man, it just made me go, yeah, you're perfect for, you know, because look, I love music, you know, Terrence, I've been DJing for a long time, blah blah blah, but being a label boss is something different. Now the label I have, I don't really, you know, I'm not over here like, you know, babysitting my artists. My artists need to know where they want to go and have that engine inside them. I'm just there to help them, put them on the road, put them on, you know what I mean, just amplify what they're doing. So Shay's like, he's a genius when it comes to his own, like, you know, how he looks after his own career.
And Shay, you got to tell me, what was it like when you get the phone call from somebody in your camp, like, like, and then you get on the phone, like, tell me how that first conversation and interaction was for you, and when you met him for the first time.
Me and Driss actually had this conversation recently, and it was obviously, you meet somebody that you've only ever seen on TV. Do you know what I mean? At the time, you've only ever seen this person on TV, and they're almost not real to you. Do you know what I mean? And then before you know it, somebody's messaging you, kind of saying to you like, "Yo, I run the music arm of this person's label, or this person's entity. You know what I mean? It's a massive global brand. I run the music part of that, and we're interested in talking to you about your music. Do you know what I mean? And we really want to know what's going on with you, and if you do you know, I mean, do a merger kind of thing." And it just becomes very real very quickly. Do you know what I mean? It all just kind of becomes, okay, I'm living a dream, and now it's about maintaining. Do you know what I mean? So when we actually met in real life, and after a few conversations on the phone and stuff, it was a bit surreal still. But as soon as Driss said to me, "Yo, bro," I was like, all right, cool, we're here. Like, as soon as the energy hit, like, from the first words, the first vibrations that hit my ears, I was just like, all right, cool, frequencies all there, let's get to the music. Do you know what I mean? And we just didn't look back. You know what I mean? We just never looked back. But it was, and then to hear him on the phone say these kind of things like, "Bro, I think your music is genius," and rah rah, I was just like, boy, I got something to lose now. Do you know what I mean?
When I first met him, it still felt a little surreal. Like, I had to literally call around the airport, like, "No, does he like me? Did I do good?" Because this guy's like a real, like, big, like, some stars are like little in real life. He's like a big nigga, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he comes in,
come on, man.
kind of sucks
yeah.
like, yo, is everything cool?
There's a lot of space in the room.
Like, just comes through with it.
Yeah.
You hold your own, man. I've been listening to your music. Spaghetti is my joint right now. I got it on.
Thank you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? How do you draw inspiration during a time like this? You know, you can't be outside, you can't be in the clubs, you know, you can't move around like you normally would be. How do you draw inspiration as an artist to continue the craft?
I think as an artist and as a rapper specifically, I draw a lot of power from creating stories about real life experiences or vicariously seeing and kind of and absorbing things through friends and family and loved ones and sometimes strangers, you know what I mean, via the internet. So like I think not being able to kind of move around how I wanted to experience, you know what I mean, like in and of itself, that was like a big kind of, it was kind of like a big moment for me as an artist, because I had to have a lot more conversations with myself. I had to have a lot more kind of deeper and like delving into different spaces of who I am as a person, not just as an artist, you know what I mean, even though those things are pretty much the exact same thing. So like the internet was a big part of that allowed me to understand other people, the way other people are seeing this, and relate my experiences back to real life a little bit more, because it feels a bit surreal, do you know what I mean, to use that word again. Like it's all a bit mind-blowing for a lot of us, regardless of where we're at in life, do you know what I mean? So I think that in itself was something to talk about and look at. And then obviously I'd been talking about a lot of some of the music that Driss first heard, like some of the new music that Driss first heard with songs like My Block and Black Ones. So like I'd already had kind of an understanding of what I wanted to talk about with this what is becoming my debut album. And yeah, I just felt like it was a brilliant home to put it in 7. So all of that in itself is allowed, like either motivates me or inspires me to just kind of keep looking at real life and taking things from real life, even if it doesn't turn into a song about that thing. Yep. It's places to draw the energy from. Do you know what I mean? It's still all of these weird emotions are still emotions. You know what I mean? And still things that you can draw from. And then it's just a blessing to have got far enough to have a studio in my house as well. So that definitely doesn't go amiss.
You know, as you mentioned, My Block, which you dropped this year, it's crazy. Yeah. Similarities of what's going on in the UK and the things that are happening right here in the States. And I never have felt more connected, you know, to Black people in the UK than I have now. Driss, you've been using your platform not just through working with artists like him that are right there on the front lines in the street, you know, painting the narrative, but even using your IG. You had the co-founder of Black Lives Matter on you, and you've really been speaking up. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on in the UK? We hear what's happening here with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but there's so many things that are happening in your country as well.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, look, you know, the symmetry between the nations, but across the world where, you know, Black people have a presence, the symmetries, you know, it's the same, you know, same shit, different toilet. Do you get me? Mm-hmm. And you know, in England, we've had moments and spikes where we've had, you know, revolt, not to no pun, but we've had moments of where we've stood up and said shit about the system, you know, from going back to, you know, the Brixton riot, the Tottenham riots, you know, across the nation. We've had these moments, but this particular moment, man, because it's so worldwide, because so many Black people are just looking at each other and going, man, is this the same for you? Is this the same for me?
Yeah.
Everyone's going, yes, that's exactly it. That, you know, literally, it's just a powerful moment. And in the UK, you know, we're standing right there, like George Floyd was, you know what I mean, British, you know what I mean? We feel the same pain. You bleed, I bleed. And it's interesting because, like, you know, just taking it to the music for a second, there was an article about songs that were being played during the marches. I think YG was one of them, Kendrick and Che Lingo, My Block. They were playing that shit, marching. You know what I'm saying? And I remember that when I read that, I was like, that, you know what I mean? Like, that song was written way back, and it's about a very specific, inspired by a very specific moment in Shay's life, but it resonated with the people, you know what I mean? And, you know, when you said you listened to Spaghetti and you listened to my block earlier and everything, you know what I'm saying? It's resonating with you in a way that it's not about UK, US. It's just someone speaking their heart and their soul and onto a beat, you know what I'm saying? And that's really resonating. People are speaking up now.
Yeah.
And it feels good. It was bound to happen, you know. When we think about, you know, the Me Too movement and how women certainly have been, you know, looked upon as second class for a long time, you know, from their pay grades and all of that, how women are treated in the workplace, that had to come to a stop. You know what I'm saying? I've got a daughter. I was sensitive to that myself, but, you know, it had to come to a stop. It took the women to speak up. And now when we look around how black people are treated, that has to stop too, man. We can't be treated like second just because of the color of our skin. Fuck that, you know?
It's almost like the world has had enough. And, you know, with the time down with COVID, we've all had that time to just digest everything that's been happening. And when you look at the Me Too movement, when you look at what the LGBTQ community has been going through, when you look at all of that, it's like, all right, this is, you know, black people, we haven't had a fair shake 400 years, you know, and
exactly.
Sisters across the pond, we was all part of the same slave trade. We just got dropped off at different stops on the bus, you know, and so when you hear his voice and the vernacular, it is kind of cutting edge because, you know, YG is one thing, but then you hear his voice, it's a whole different narrative, and it's just it's the silver lining in all of this that we can connect in this way. All right, so 7Wallace, what can we expect next? I know you got some big things coming. You got a lot of moving parts. What's happening next, brother?
Man, listen, you know, we're go for it.
Well, let the young bull take it over. Let the young bull's like, I got this, boss.
No, I respect everything that's happening at 7 outside of even my music and my stuff, because I ultimately, for me, I view 7 as like a house of integrity. Do you know what I mean? 7Wallace is a house of integrity, man. And if there's anything I've tried to make sure I have the utmost of, is that, especially when I'm making music and navigating through the industry. And like Idris said, my block was written a long time before George Floyd was taken from us, or the Black Lives Matter movement had got into that space and entered that zone of kind of taking over the globe in the way that it did. Like, I'd written my block and other songs prior to that, which were only brought back to light. I think my block was released 4 months before any of that started to happen. So it was definitely on my mind, because obviously, like Idris said, because of a situation here in London about that exact thing. You know what I mean? Police brutality and the way that we're treated, and in the aftercare that the government is meant to pick up on, and doesn't, and seems to always fail us as a black community in ways that it's not failing other communities. Do you know what I mean? Or we perceive it to not be failing other communities, and there's nobody to speak to us with that level of, again, integrity for us to trust and believe that what you're saying is actually going to happen, and what you're saying is actually going to be looked at and considered the way that it should be to represent us all. Because I think one of London's biggest kind of talking points to the rest of the world is how multicultural it is, but how are you treating, in terms of the UK, but then how are you treating those other cultures that make it multi? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you servicing them? How are you looking at them? How are you understanding them? How are you representing them? Do you know what I mean? And I think us as a black community globally haven't really been represented since those 400 years ago. And like we talk about when it started a lot, but we don't talk about when it supposedly ended. Do you know what I mean? Which wasn't that long ago. Do you know what I mean? So that's what makes it so difficult to kind of be able to be so niche in the UK, in the way that I speak of things, in the way that I make music, and the topics that I take on, and then merge that with somebody else who's from the UK, who's, to be honest, probably gonna have a majority white team, probably not from the culture, probably from places outside of London. Do you know what I mean? And they're not really gonna understand the nuances on where to take the risks, because I've looked at certain things, and I've understood ways to make music to invoke those points of motivation for you to push that music. You're not going to have that same resonance with the music as say a Idris team. Do you know what I mean? As a 7Wallace team. So I think going full circle, things like looking at that music and looking at myself and trying to understand them both as a package and saying where's the home for this? Do you know what I mean? Where can I put this? Where can I station this for the rest of my life? You know what I mean? As my debut kind of album, and I've been working for close to a decade on just making a career of music. Do you know what I mean? So where can I put this? And 7 was definitely that place. You know what I mean? It was definitely that place, all things considered.
Yes, I think it's safe to say 7's in good hands with this young man steering the ship. And so with music intact, what are the Hollywood conversations that you're having right now? Just, I mean, obviously all eyes are on us. You're at the forefront of the community. You know, there have been roles that people have been talking about you should have been doing for years and years and years. Are conversations shifting in a positive direction for the future, especially for younger people that are coming up?
I mean, I definitely feel that, you know, I can't individualize that, you know, around me, because, you know, my journey started so long back, you know what I'm saying? And right now I've always believed in reinvesting into, you know, Arande, you know, me and my boy, we always trying to plant seeds, and we've been doing that. We leave the door open for the next man. You know, I've been trying to, you know, you've seen a wave of British actors getting a little bit more of an international, you know, platform, being in America a bit more. I certainly feel like I contributed to that a little bit by, you know, opening the door. And what I'm seeing in the future for us is more of our stories, you know, not us just being part of a story, but more of our stories. And our stories, you know, I feel like we just really hit the tip of the iceberg. There's so much that, you know, people are going to learn from our culture when we start telling our stories in the way we want to, you know. Not every movie is going to be about the hood. Not every movie is going to be, it's going to be our culture, our richness, our dreams, our future, you know, because some of the talent that I see coming up, like Che is an amazing talent, but he's a wicked writer. You know, his brain is thinking in ways, and I see that across the genres. I see that in the film writers as well. You know what I'm saying? So the future for me looks positive. You know, I think, you know, nothing's going to change overnight. You know what I mean? There's going to be a time, you know, it's going to be time, but it's definitely all leading in the right direction. We're going to see more representation of ourselves, more ownership, you know what I'm saying? More ownership, and hopefully more opportunity.
I love it. All right. Well, look, my time is up with you guys. It's been a pleasure, man. Very informative and good to connect. Che, where can everybody check you out on social media? Give us all your hashtag. Where you at?
I just want to say, firstly, I'm a big fan. 106 and Park, like massive fan. Culturally, coming from that place.
You don't pick me up and go to the club in the UK. I love it out there. So,
bro.
When you're ready, bro.
There's a few spots. There's a few nice spots you might not hear about that I can take you to over here. I'm serious.
That's what I want.
Love, man. But yeah, big fan. And yeah, you can find. I'm working on my debut album. My name is Che Lingo, CHELINGO. You can find me at CHE_LINGO on all social media. All my music's on major platforms. I've got Black Ones out now, My Block out now, Spaghetti out now, and there's a lot more to come on my first debut album from the UK as a rapper, The Worst Generation.
That boy on fire, 7Wallace. And Idris, when the quarantine is over and you come back, can we hit the gym? I gotta get you got this.
Come on, man. Look, man. This is just the angle of the phone right here. It's just the angle right now.
It's the whole time.
He's angled it up. You angled it up like this.
That looks crazy. The whole thing looks crazy, man. You got stop. And you got to do the casting call thing on IG Live, man. Let me host one of those, man. That was fire. I love that.
You know what? I feel like I let some people down. We have not done another one. It ain't my fault. I'm not going to put Arande on blast, but I think it might have something to do with him. But anyway, we're going to do another one for sure, man. That was great fun. Good reaction. People really did react well to that, man. So do that again.
Franchise it out, man. Come on, we'll do a couple. You got like how Swiss Beats and them did the verses.
Yeah.
Because all the acts, everybody's trying to figure it out.
That's true, man. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. All right, let's work it out. Let's work it out.
Man. Love y'all. Thanks so much for checking in. Be safe. Be blessed. This is Hollywood. It's good to know my boys are good. Love y'all.
Love, man. Peace.